Okay, welcome everyone to our ninth episode of Star Trek Picard, Fake Nerds Watch. I'm Brandon T. McClure. With me, as always, is Michael Karls of the Downright Nerdy Podcast. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, thanks. 9 episodes, only one left. I'm a little. It's a little bittersweet. A
Yeah,
little sad.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, this is our, this is the second to last episode. Not a bad time to do it. We're all in quarantine, so
Yeah.
I'm out of a job. So hey, I got plenty of time to watch.
Yep.
Before we get started, though, with this episode, I did have a couple of thoughts from last week that I wanted to bring up now.
Okay.
Because I missed them last week, and I feel like we should mention them.
Sure.
So last week they mentioned Marta.
Marta.
If you don't remember, so in the finale of the episode when they're in, it was when he's talking about when I was an ensign on the Reliant and blah blah blah, and he's like, I knew your captain.
Okay.
Only briefly. He was a friend of an old classmate of mine, and she goes, "Oh yeah, Marta," and I thought that was really cool. A little callback from the episode when he lost his heart.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting little callback. I didn't want to go amiss because I like that character a lot.
I
like that
don't.
whole
Yeah.
episode.
I mean, I obviously remember the episode where he lost his heart and where Q, brought him back to see, that whole thing. I just don't recall the name Marta.
Yeah, that's the girl that he was friends with. That he
got it. Was she the one that Was she the one that he? That's not the one that he left her to join Starfleet, right?
No, not that.
No,
one.
okay, that was a completely different person.
Yeah, that was That was the one he met in Paris.
Yes.
Also, there was a mention of Zephyr Cochrane, with the regards to a tipping point for a species, and I thought that was an interesting idea. How for our species right now, if you develop warp travel, another species will come.
Mm-hmm.
There will be you have tipped into another stage of evolution, and they're talking like the development of synthetic life is that it is similar to developing warp travel.
That's the equivalent. Got it.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really interesting idea. This idea that there are these various tipping points for species that if you do it, someone will come. And in the case of when Earth developed warp travel, it's the Vulcans.
You would almost assume that if a species has created synthetic life, that they're the ones that should be contacting you because they're way superior than any one of you guys.
Well,
since
now
nobody
we know
in the known galaxy seems to be able to nail it down.
Right, but I mean, now we know that it's a little bit more devious than that.
Right. Yes.
Well, let's get into this episode. Finally.
Yeah, the 2-part finale.
Yeah. So, Michael, I wanted to ask you a question.
Okay.
How much do you remember of Juliana Soong?
Juliana Soong, not much. I do know that anytime a Soong is introduced in Star Trek, he is played by Brent Spiner.
Yes.
Which was kind of neat. It's like almost like a Soong tradition. You have Brent Spiner come in and play whatever distant relative of Noonien Soong,
So let me tell you. So I went, because of this episode, I went down a rabbit hole of Star Trek: The Next Generation, which is a fine rabbit hole to go down, generally speaking.
That must have been a ton of fun.
It is. I watched every episode in regards to Data's family.
Oh, cool.
I watched every episode with Lal, the brothers episode with when he meets Noonien Soong.
Okay.
And I remember seeing an episode. I was pretty sure that Data met his mom at one time.
Yes. Who was an android.
So because watching that, I now have a big problem with this episode.
Well, actually, after seeing that, I kind of have a problem with this entire series, to be quite honest with you. Which I was going to bring up actually next week's episode. Yeah. But since we're talking about it,
let's do it now. So Juliana Soong, for those of you who don't know, and you know what, I do not blame you. It is Star Trek: The Next Generation. Maybe it is too deep of a cut for you. Was married to Noonien Soong, Dr. Noonien Soong, who made Data. Juliana died during the attack by the crystalline entity, and Noonien built a new one. but an android that didn't know she was an android. So if there's something happened, she would go into a coma, and then you would play this holo message, and then you would make the decision, like, should I tell her, should I not? And if you didn't, she just would die after a long life. She looked human, she felt human, she had emotions, she drank, she ate. She acted very similar to Soji. I think this is an episode our showrunners missed.
Yes. I don't think they fell down that rabbit hole as deep as you did, or I did.
That's fair.
Or, this is something that I kind of thought of back in episode 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I want to see where this is going before I start bringing this up, because if it is this, it just seems like just a ripoff and expansion of that one episode. Mm-hmm. That's almost what it feels like. But I mean, they did add the twist of like, okay, now there's a whole bunch. Well, really though, if you really want to get kind of technical, it's a ripoff of that episode, because technically she's Data's like grandchild, if you want to like kind of be technical about it. And it's a ripoff of that, and it's a ripoff of Battlestar Galactica, because there's a whole bunch of these like number 5s, number 7s, number 9s, whatever the heck. They just have different names. You know what I mean?
I love that show.
Yeah, so do I. I love that show. Don't get me wrong, it's a great concept, but it's been done. And we're just seeing it again in Star Trek. Okay, well.
And this goes back to what I talked about last week with Star Trek Picard, wears its influences on its sleeve. Unlike Star Trek, which generally trailblazed, this is very much like, oh, I can see the elements that you're pulling, the various elements that you're getting your story beats from. And I don't necessarily know how I feel about that with Star Trek. But anyway, I want to go back to the Soong family real quick.
Okay, yeah.
So Juliana says that there were 5 Soong-type androids built. 3 prototypes, one we found out was B4. Lore, and then Data. And Data was the perfect one. Never once did they mention having a biological child. Juliana says that she treated every android like they were her children. There's never a mention of escaping the colony with a child. That child would be Data's age. Would be if we're to believe Brent Spiner's age correlates.
Oh, okay.
So Data had a little brother, and I understand that Data. Well, she never knew it. And I would understand that Data never knew, never understood, never remembered, because Data didn't have memories from that period. But Lore never brings it up. Juliana doesn't bring it up. Noonien, when we meet Noonien, doesn't bring it up.
I would assume that was maybe to protect him, protect the kid, the biological kid. For like Noonien maybe never mentioned him because he didn't want him to be, I don't know, maybe he knew how evil Lore was, or maybe he knew that people would kind of.
That's a good point, and I'm willing to accept that. Yeah. However, if we are to believe that Bruce Maddox has spent his entire life trying to perfect a Soong type android, and there was another Soong running around.
Well, maybe the Soong son, Brent Spiner, didn't reveal himself until maybe shortly after the Mars invasion, or maybe shortly before that. I don't know.
I guess so. I mean, there's some
we don't know the extent of the younger Soong and Bruce Maddox. Like, we don't know the extent of the relationship, right? Mm-hmm. No. So we don't know how long they've been working together.
That is true.
I almost kind of got the feeling that they weren't. It wasn't a long time, maybe a few years at most. That's what I kind of felt like during this episode.
Like he just found him or something. There's this long lost Soong child.
Maybe. I don't think it was a chance encounter. I think maybe Soong seeked him out. Maybe sometime around the time of the Mars thing.
It's just it's storytelling like that when you reveal a long lost relative, something like that. You have to do the mental gymnastics to make it fit within the canon of what's already been established, and I don't appreciate that. Generally speaking,
I thought you were gonna hate it just as much because it like the equivalent of that is almost kind of like a Death in the Family background, and I'm like, here's kind of like another one because like, oh well, surprise, like okay, well it's almost not really lazy writing, but just a cop out almost.
It's a cop out, and you know what? I would understand. Like it's fun. It's a fun in gag to have Brent Spiner come back and play him again. That's fun. But you know what would have been really nice? If so this whole point, and they've kind of lost this idea, is that, sorry, my cat's playing.
Oh, good.
If they had kind of not forgotten that the whole point that Picard went on this journey was to try to, with the hope that Data could be rebuilt, could be reborn through the memory engrams inside Dahj and Soji. Because, and like, okay, I'll forgive the fact that you forgot that lore is around, which is dumb. But if that had turned out to be Data in flesh and blood, like Bruce Maddox had figured out how to rebuild Data and give Data the gift that Data was always searching for, to be human. I thought that would have been beautiful.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, you would think that if that were to happen, then Data would have it would have been great. Yeah, but Data would have seeked out his old crew to at least
not if they don't have starships.
They don't got like an intergalactic cell phone.
Well, so
because we saw that Bruce Maddox was able to contact, or Picard was trying to contact Starfleet, right? Which, by the way, I got a big thing about what I think is going to be happening next episode.
Put a pin on that one. I want to know.
Yeah. But they do have the capabilities of trying to reach other worlds via, communication somehow.
Yes, but there's still a ban on synthetics, and Bruce Maddox is still wanted.
That doesn't negate the fact that they can't call out. They just take off the, whatever tracking buffer or whatever that they have.
I understand. I get that. And I understand what you're saying, and I totally kind of agree. I have an easier time buying that than I do that there was some random Soong child running around the galaxy for decades.
Yeah, of course. We're our Star Trek logic. They're like, oh, we've watched more Star Trek though than the creators of this show, though, except for Picard, maybe.
Well, he was in more.
Yeah,
and I look. It's just kind of bugs me, and I'm not sure how I feel about just being like, oh, another Soong.
Did you happen to go down? Like, how far down what was your Soong and Data rewatch rabbit hole? Did it also include what was it, Enterprise and
I didn't get that far.
Got it. So you just limited it to TNG?
Yeah, I just watched the TNG stuff. The Enterprise 3-parter is very good, by the way. I like that a lot. Eric Soong.
Yep.
Well, okay. Then let's talk. I think this episode opens really strongly, though.
Okay.
When they come out of the transwarp conduit, I think that's really cool. The battle's really cool. The Borg cube coming through is awesome.
The flowers, the little dandelion flower, or not dandelion, like orchid.
Orchid. Yeah. I think that's cool. And then it just.
Yeah, it's like a. It's almost like a firework that's just like, okay, the big boom's down, but it's just like kind of trickling after that. I'm like, okay. Was it predictable for you this episode? I mean, when I saw Soji's evil Soji when she first came on screen, I'm like, okay, she's bad guy.
Yeah.
They're not making it. They're not hiding it at all.
There were so many times. There's so many things in this episode that they were just required you to be like, okay, go along with it. Like bad guy Soji. I don't remember her name. I'm just gonna call it bad guy Soji.
Yeah.
Can do a mind meld.
Yeah. How does that work?
What is that? Why? Why do you need that?
Wait. Before we do that, I'm sorry. Another another thing that happened right before they landed is Picard, like during the whole re-entering into the atmosphere, Picard kind of does some weird thing, and he starts talking gibberish.
His neurotic syndrome kicks in.
Yeah, so he essentially reveals to the crew his symptoms, which there was a line that he had, which I loved. He said, "If any of you, something to the effect of, if anybody starts treating me like a dying old man, then you're really gonna see a dying old man pissed off," or something like that. I thought it was kind of funny. That was probably my favorite part of the episode, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I like the idea that this crew have come together, and I buy it because of the last episode they did the legwork. So I understand that there's kind of a reluctance to keep going on this mission, but they feel a sense of camaraderie with Picard.
Yeah,
and so when they realize that he's a dying man, it's they don't know how to feel about that, so they're
and that emotion is pure. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Rafi, she feels it more obviously because she has a bigger history with Picard, but it didn't feel forced. Like if this were to if he were to reveal his illness in like the second or third episode, and they tried to feel the way that they felt in this episode, it wouldn't have worked because it was too soon into their journey.
Well, especially together. Rafi, who was pissed off at him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that now
she should be happy,
her,
right?
Yeah. So now revealing it to her, she can have her emotions of like, oh shit, but I don't want to. I don't want him to die. So I appreciated that sort of thing. Let's talk about the Borg cube and how wasted it is.
Yeah. I mean, how did it why was it so damaged and all that? Like, what? I forget. I mean, because
it crash landed on a planet, I guess.
But why did it crash and land? Did
the orchids brought it in?
Those couple flowers brought it in.
Yeah.
A Borg cube.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Man, those are some powerful flowers.
Well, they used 3 of them. 3 of them to
3. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
But
you know what I'm saying, though? I mean, the Borg cube is essentially one of the most destructive ships in the entire galaxy, and 3 of these orchids brought it down. That's cool.
Yeah. What's going on with the Borg cube and the whole 709 saying goodbye and then Elnor saying goodbye? Like, what was the point of bringing Elnor in the show if an episode later he's gone?
I mean, I honestly, unfortunately, I think this was just like a filler backstory. I don't really feel much like the only purpose of the Borg cube, I feel like, was for nostalgia and to have a place where Picard can go get Soji and feel a little uncomfortable for an episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. I don't much care for the wastefulness of it. It never feels like it clicks within. It didn't feel like it clicked within the episode when we were following Soji's B plot, and since the plot lines converged, the 709 became the unnecessary B plot, and that's a disgrace to the character. I feel
it is. Yeah.
Elnor is a great character, and I loved seeing him early on, and now he's just. Are we never going to see him again?
No, we'll see him next episode. I have a feeling that the Borg or whatever's left of like the XBs, or if there's I don't know, maybe they beamed aboard all those other Borg that floated in space back into the ship before they went through the conduit. I don't know, and I think
this Borg cube plotline better have one hell of a payoff, or else.
We only got 1 episode left, and to be quite honest with you, with everything else going on, it's either going to be one of those those Han Solo Millennium Falcon at the end of A New Hope moments where they come in rescuing. But I have a feeling that I got a different theory on what's going to happen there.
Well, go ahead, say it.
Okay, so when Picard is attempting to contact Starfleet and say like, hey, I have an urgent message. I found a new civilization. They need Federation assistance, blah, 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 blah. I need help. These are my coordinates, whatever. You can't get through. I have a strong suspicion that, so we saw the 200 and some or 300 and some Romulan ships that are en route, right, to the thing. I have a strong suspicion that a Starfleet armada will magically appear, and the one leading it is going to be Riker. I got a strong. They're going to call him back and say, "You're the only one that could talk some sense into your batshit old captain, and I need you to lead this armada to go get him."
Yeah, that could be. I don't mind that necessarily. However, what I think is going to happen, I think the Borg cube is going to be the one to save the day. I think it's the only thing that they have that can destroy an entire fleet of Romulans. Like, really?
Yeah.
I think it's entirely likely that's going to happen.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a mixture of the two. Maybe Borg cube goes up, but then it gets. I mean, there's so many ships, it gets so damaged to the point that they cannot, put it together. So their last ditch effort. Then all of a sudden, you start seeing all these Federation ships coming out of warp speed. I don't know. Maybe after the Borg cube, destroys maybe half the fleet, but there's still a whole bunch of Romulan warbirds out there. So you see a whole bunch of Starfleet ships come out of nowhere. Maybe the Enterprise,
the current Enterprise, maybe
the current Enterprise. Yeah, whatever letter we're at.
Yeah, that could be. Honestly, to be fair, I wouldn't actually mind that. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I want to see more Starfleet anyway.
Or
maybe this ragtag thing.
Maybe even the Enterprise F with LaForge as captain, like your big dream.
Or Worf.
Worf already said he's not in this episode, not in this season. Or
Drat.
I know, unless he lied. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. People lie.
Yeah. Or LaForge. I'll take LaForge.
Or Beverly.
Beverly would be captaining a medical ship.
You never know. Maybe she had different aspirations.
Maybe. Or she's dead.
Or maybe it's Wesley. He comes in with the Traveler.
Oh, I'll hate that.
Or maybe
you finally clicked on the one that I'll hate.
Or maybe it gets to the point where Romulans come and and everything is destroyed, and it comes down to Picard and Soon are the only two left. Soon tries to sacrifice himself to save Picard, but then Q stops everything and rewinds the entire season.
Okay, you found two plot lines I'd hate.
I could find a whole bunch more.
Let's talk. So the Golem is introduced, the Chekhov's Golem. That you can put a mind in.
What do you feel like is going to happen here?
Okay, so I got three theories.
Okay.
My first theory is that Picard's going to go in it.
Yep, that was my first
theory. That's going to be how the Yarmodic syndrome is cured.
And so, let me ask you this: if they do that, do you think that Patrick Stewart will no longer be part of the show and someone else will be playing Picard, essentially?
No, because we already know he's in season 2.
In what degree, though? Maybe he's just like a holographic brain, like essentially like a small little alien driving this new body.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll just have his, like, maybe the face will just kind of mold. They're going to do de-aging technology
for a whole season. That's a lot of money.
The entire season.
It's a lot of money. Yeah, I mean, they could do something like that, but I don't think that the point of doing the show is bringing back Patrick Stewart. It's not necessarily bringing back Picard. It's bringing back Patrick Stewart. Okay. So I don't think they're going to want to get rid of him. That's why Theory 1 doesn't really jive with me, because of that idea. Okay. Theory 2 is Brent Spiner, isn't it?
Yeah.
And soon, he becomes an android, his long lost dream or something. Or 3, they use that to bring back Data.
That was my theory number 2. First one was Picard. Second was Data. I did not have that Soon theory in there. But
I could see them bringing back Data, because to be fair, they have stopped talking about that for a couple of episodes. But the initial motivation of Picard is for him to go out there to try to see if it's possible to bring back Data to life, to bring Data back to life. And I could see it. I could see them explaining the old age, by having him model after, what's the guy's name? Inigo Soon or something.
No, I'll find it. You keep talking. Yeah.
So I could see them. He's taking his image.
Altan Inigo Soon.
Altan
Yeah.
Inigo Soong.
Inigo is his middle name.
What a name. what a stupid name.
So I'm no, you keep going. I don't want you to lose your train of thought. I got.
Oh no, that was just kind of my thought that they would use the likeness of Altan Sung to explain why Data would look so old. But I can't, now that I've thought about it, I can't get over the idea that we've kind of lost the hope that Data could become human, like fully human, fully realized.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, I guess if you want to say, I mean, when you think about Soji is that kind of culmination. It's just not Data.
Yeah.
You know,
Soji, and it shouldn't be such a big deal that they have human skin, because lol
and the mom
like so weird.
Yeah,
come on, people, do your research.
And that's what it kind of boils down to. Like that's when we see all these little plot holes that the average viewer will be like, oh yeah, that's kind of neat, whatever, it's all good.
They take it on face value.
Yeah, they take it on face value and then they're fine with it. But I mean, it's kind of sucks for people like us when we're like, oh, wait a minute. There's that one small 30-second scene in season 7 of episode 12. No, you didn't do your reading. You know what I mean? It's like, it's
not even the 30-second thing. It's the whole episode's dedicated to the fact that this shouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah.
Especially with Juliana, and I get it. Like, Juliana is the whole point of a Soong type android was that nobody could figure out how it happened. Like, Soong was the only person who was able to perfect that. So Juliana is the perfection of what Soong could do.
Right.
And I totally get that. But now we've introduced to Soong, and we've got Bruce Maddox who did that. By the way, if Bruce Maddox had this beautiful utopia planet, why did he need money at Free Cloud? Why did he leave? Why did he go to Free Cloud? Right?
I have no idea.
There's no point. He's got everything he needs.
And he was safe. He was fine. It's not like, I mean, unless the evil, the evil Sojis did something, maybe. I don't know, that made him...
We're led to believe... That doesn't make
any sense, though.
We're led to believe that he went because he needed money.
Yeah, that's right, huh?
But there's no reason. Nobody's hurting. They got this perfect utopian society.
Yeah.
Like, why did he go? Why did he leave? He left for the plot. He left just so that Picard could find him. And I don't like that.
I can't find any correlate. Yeah, it don't make no sense.
Audience, if you're listening to this and you know, and we don't, we're just missing something, please let us know.
I feel like we may have missed something.
That's entirely possible. But it just kind of feels to me like that plot was only there to get Picard almost caught up to where Soji is. And so this brings up the other issue of the Borg cube that I have. It's been reported, so I don't know how true this is, that the Borg cube was added in the trailer because the studio wanted something to like shock the audience, so they added a Borg cube, and then they worked backwards for how that cube could be incorporated, and it makes a lot of sense with how little they've used that cube.
Yeah.
Sorry, my cat.
No, it's all good.
Good boy.
You know who I liked is oh geez, what the hell's her name?
Sparrow?
No.
The one with the sparrow, with the hummingbird?
Arcana? The one who got stabbed in the eye?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really liked her. I liked her a lot. And not just because she looks pretty, but I mean, I just like that character. Yeah. She was almost like a child. She had that child, like, she's like, oh,
she's Data.
Yeah, she essentially is Data, right?
Yeah.
She's very curious. She's never like known anything negative. It felt like, So she's never known anybody to trick her. She never known anybody to be mean, essentially.
Yeah. The kind-heartedness, the naivete, almost the childlike wonder that Data had when we first met him. I liked that. I appreciated that. I hate Narek. Just as a character, I don't like him.
He's very cookie cutter.
Yeah, I don't care for him. The whole thing with Soji doesn't work for me. Evil Soji sucks.
I mean, it doesn't. So essentially, all she, like, the reason why she's evil is because she saw after the mind meld, the somehow mind meld or whatever that an android is able to do.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this though: if an android's able to now mind meld, does that mean an android can be Beta Z and feel other people's feelings, kind of thing too? Or
hey, don't do that.
you know what I mean?
That's the thing. Like, the reason why a Vulcan can mind meld is because they're slightly telepathic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that too. Yeah. So does that mean they can go full telepathic if need be?
They're not supposed to.
Does that mean that they can eventually like become like a Q?
I mean, I think the implication is that everyone can become a Q eventually if they evolve far enough. Remember, there was that episode where the Q child, the little girl, she was becoming a Q.
I thought that was because you're talking about the child. That was because she was actually really
Oh, her parents were Q.
Her parents were Q. Yeah,
you're right.
And
okay,
she hadn't figured it out yet. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. My bad.
But yeah, so I mean, they need to do a lot of explaining in this next episode. I mean, I understand it's a 2-part episode, and there's a lot to do. So, kind of just a recap. So they get to this, they crash land on the planet with a bunch of orchids. They meet Soon and all the. I thought for some reason that there was gonna be way more. It looked like to be a small group of maybe like 100, if that. And then Picard tries to reason with them. The mind meld happens, whatever. He tries to look for that little back and forth between Soon and Allison Pill, the doctor. You did what you did was disgusting, despicable. Do you want a chance to right what you've wronged? I'm like, wow, that's kind of got over the murder of Bruce Maddox fairly quickly.
I think Soon is evil.
You think so? I wouldn't be surprised because of the history of the Soong family.
Well, not even that, but and this could be the way Brent Spiner plays, but he's so smarmy.
Yeah, I guess.
I think he's evil. I think it's gonna be revealed that he's evil.
Well, I maybe not so evil. I almost kind of think that he loves his androids more than he loves anything else in the universe. So if they want to do a revolution and kill a whole bunch of Federation and Romulans and go hunt out everybody else, he'll be on board with it.
So the mind meld reveals that it's not that. It's a warning for biologics. It's a beacon for synthetics.
Yeah.
To what we saw the shot boss use.
So are we going to assume that there's going to be a ton more synthetics coming out here?
Well, it sounds like there's a species of just synthetic people that were built ages and thousands of years ago, and they've been existing in this galaxy or away from this galaxy or somewhere, and they are the ones that come should synthetic life reach the point that they at once did. So they'll come to protect them.
It's going to be a Borg. More Borg.
You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like the Harbingers from Descender. Is Michael Chabon a fan of the Descender comic book? I would like to know.
Oh, man.
Because that's the plot of Descender.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me how many parallels this show has to the TV to the comic book Descender.
And it doesn't. It's one thing I have an issue with about the show too, is that they're borrowing from so many other avenues, which is fine, but the whole thing for me is Star Trek should be a new journey, a new something or other that we haven't seen before. Going out, what was the? Seek out new life and new civilizations, right? To boldly go where no one has gone before. We've been here before.
Yeah, we have literally been here before.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the issue that you have with making Star Trek an event series. This is what I don't like comparing Star Trek to the Orville a lot. I know the Orville is a homage to Star Trek, but I don't like getting into this debate a lot. But the reason why the Orville works as a Star Trek show is because it is doing that explore new things, boldly go, that sort of thing. It's that element that it's an episodic TV show, which you don't see anymore. Making Star Trek into an event series means that you have to take a lot of inspiration from a lot of different places, and not Star Trek, because Star Trek's not built to be an event series. It's built to be an episodic TV series.
Yeah.
My cat is going crazy.
I mean, the only time that DS9 did a very good job at, and Voyager to some degree of having the mixture of both, right? They had the overarching stories of the Dominion War and the overarching story of trying to get home with Voyager, and they were still able to do episodic episodes, right? It just took a lot longer. With this, I mean, doing it over a course of 4 or 5 seasons is way different than doing it over a course of 1 season.
Right.
10 episodes at that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They had DS9 and Voyager had the luxury of 20 plus episodes per season. You know, so
I mean, even that, like 20 plus episodes per season, that's a lot of episodes to get through and try to find new things to do and whatever. And I understand that puts a strain. Like, that's why the Gamma Quadrant was introduced. That's why the Delta Quadrant was introduced, so that we can have those 2 unexplored quadrants that starships can explore and look through, and really just kind of go crazy, because we know the Alpha and Beta Quadrant for the most part. We've had it for 400 years.
Yeah.
At the point of Deep Space Nine, especially. So I can understand that. There is a rumor, by the way, I wanted to bring up, and I wanted to get your input on this. There's a theory going around that the species that they're talking about, the synthetic species, the
Iconians?
No. The Iconians. I don't know what the Iconians are.
Oh, they're the ones that built that. It's essentially, you know how they got out of the queen cell. They just walked right through it. There's a couple episodes in TNG where they found an old icon. It was one of Picard's like Indiana Jones moments where he finds this like old civilization.
Yeah. I remember that.
And they're like, oh, if the Romulans get a hold of this, and they can just appear anywhere.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know, icon.
No, there's a theory going around that it's the species that sent V'ger back.
That sent what?
That sent V'ger back in Star Trek Motion Picture.
Gosh, you're gonna have to refresh my memory on this.
So it's fine. The very first Star Trek movie, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, Kirk, Spock, McCoy, those guys.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
They're sent to intercept a probe called V'ger that's calling itself V'ger. It's got sentience, whatever. And they find out that it is actually the Voyager 6 satellite that Earth sent in the 20th century. And it's been augmented by a species of robotic life. And it was sent back out to kind of go home.
Okay.
But with more accumulated knowledge. So it kept accumulating more knowledge of the galaxy, of the universe, and became this like sentient robot. There's actually a plot in the Star Trek Legends video game that introduces the idea that V'ger is responsible for the creation of the Borg, which I kind of think is kind of cool. But it's not canon. So it's this. So there's this theory going around that this species of sentient the sentient robotic life was the ones that sent V'ger back. And I kind of think that's an interesting theory, but I think it puts too much thought into the show, more thought than the showrunners did. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not familiar with that as much. I don't know if I'd like that. Yeah. I mean, it's just give me something completely brand new. I like if there was this new synthetic life that came down upon us, I'd want it to be completely a new thing. Like, even if it came from outside like the known universe or something like that, that'd be awesome. Like somehow synthetic life is able to figure out how to get past the known galaxy, which was explained in a Star Trek novel. Oh gosh, I cannot remember for the life of me. So essentially in this Star Trek novel, maybe it was a comic book, I can't recall. The city with no tomorrow, that weird enemy, or wait, what was it called?
City on the Edge of Forever.
The Edge of Forever. So that entity trapped the Q species to the known galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. That's why. So the Q species cannot leave the galaxy because there's a protective bubble essentially around it.
That's cool.
Because they know that the Q is just so BS crazy, right?
Yeah.
That they wanted to contain them within a galaxy, and then that entity is essentially free to roam around the known universe. It would be kind of neat to see something that is able to penetrate in an old civilization of synths. Maybe that. Who knows? Maybe they're the ones that created that Dyson sphere too in Star Trek Next Generation.
Oh yeah. See, as much as I want to see Star Trek kind of boldly go and do something new, I don't mind callbacks to other Trek shows, like things that like were never picked up again because of the episodic nature of Star Trek. Things like the books do. The books do this all the time. They revisit plot lines and elements and things that just didn't go anywhere because of the episodic nature of television.
Right.
So I don't necessarily mind that. I mind thematic storytelling that we've already been through. Things like what we're seeing in Picard of just blatantly disregarding something that we've seen before in the Next Generation, just to be like, oh, we're doing something new. We're doing something we've never seen before. It's like, no, I've seen this episode.
Yeah.
I saw this episode 30
I
years
get
ago.
It. Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. 7 and 9 was wasted. Elnor was wasted.
So Elnor stays with the XBs because Picard tells him like, hey, they need you more than ever now.
I like the moment where he says he's proud of him.
Yeah, that was great. I love the moment when he tells what's her face that he loves her.
Yeah, I did like that too. It showed a kind of we talked about it.
It was awkward, but it was funny, but it was beautiful.
I like it because it shows that Picard's walls have fallen in the 30 years that we haven't seen him.
Yeah.
Or like the 15 years, however long. Like his walls have fallen so completely, and he's put up a new wall that is vulnerable, while also he won't let anybody in on like a personal level, even though he's like calling out for it. So I do like that he's got these new walls that kind of have to be broken through, because in the original Star Trek, he never would have told anyone that he loved them, ever.
No.
He would never show that kind of vulnerability.
Kind of, yeah. Another question. So Girardi at the very end joins Soong's quest. And the evil Soji says like, if you're lying, I'll know. And she says, I'm not lying. She's like, okay, we'll take Picard away now.
Yeah.
Right. Do you think that Girardi has switched sides to the synths?
No, I think she's buying time. I think she believes what she's doing. She wants to protect. She wants to protect these people. She considers them her children.
Mm-hmm.
Like Soong says, like she's basically the closest thing you have to a mother.
Yeah.
So I think that's why she was able to get away from the "I'm not lying" thing. Like she believes what she's saying in that moment, but she still doesn't want to see all biological life be destroyed in the galaxy. Mostly because I don't think she wants to see the Romulans be right.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Okay.
Yeah, I'd be. I don't know what this episode's going to be. This coming episode.
I'm
a little worried that we're going to go out with a whimper. And I can say this about Star Trek Discovery. Star Trek Discovery may have lost me a couple of times during the middle of its episodes, but it never went out with a whimper. It always went out with a bang. And I want Picard to go out with a bang. I'd like to see a
this is going to be a cliffhanger. You know this for sure, right?
I really hope not.
It's going to be. You know it. It's going to be.
The season was already done by the time they announced the second. They can't.
They could add a little something. Yeah.
I want this plot line to be done. I want whatever the next season to be something new.
I would love that, where it's almost like, I know you said you never watched 24, but every season is about a new adventure. You know what I mean? If they are going to do this every season overarching kind of thing, every season should be something new.
That's what Discovery does. Discovery does that. The first season was a different plot. The second season was a different plot. Like it is an overarching series, but not through seasons. It's a different plot each season. I want to see Picard do the same.
Well, it probably will, because Discovery has pretty good views or reviews, right?
Yeah, Discovery does well. I don't know why.
If it's doing well, CBS is going to do. They're going to copy that same formula.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering. I'm curious to know how this season of Picard is doing in comparison to Discovery season 1 at this point in time.
Last I heard, and CBS All Access doesn't really release their numbers, kind of like Netflix. Last I heard, it does well.
It does better than Discovery?
Well, the first 3 episodes I think did, because it was Picard. It was Patrick Stewart. So that was the last I heard, was that Picard was like, oh my God, it's better than Discovery's
sure, I'm
numbers.
sure we probably get a better sense after next episode, because the season will be over. So
yeah. Did you find a synopsis for the next episode?
Yeah, so it's no, sorry. I mean, it just says this is the last of 11 Star Trek episode. 11.
It's supposed to be 10.
It's 10. Wow. Come on, Memory Alpha. In this case, the phrase "Et in Arcadia Ego" Part 2. Even in Arcadia, there am I. This is generally interpreted with Arcadia meaning the utopian land, and the I referring to death, making it a memento mori.
Yeah, I heard about the title, what the title means.
Yeah, I did not. This was the first time reading of it. Spoiler. Speaking of spoilers, that's another thing I wanted to tell you about. So when you said that you lightweight kind of got spoiled, I'm assuming it's to the Brent Spiner, right? Yeah. Yep, it happened to me too. I was dumb, and I was scrolling my not even Instagram. It was my Google News. And I do have Star Trek as one of my things that I like. And then right there, boom, this, after I saw this, I immediately clicked the button and said, do not show me any more stories from this news outlet, because they just gave spoilers right before you even click on something.
So Jonathan Frakes tweeted a picture of Brent Spiner in that outfit.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm unfollowing him now, because
I was like,
come on, man.
So I was like, wait. So to be fair, like, I didn't know. He could have just been posting a picture of Brent Spiner from like some other show. Like, I didn't know for sure, but I thought about that Data aspect, that he's reprising his role as Data, and I was like, oh my God, they did that. They finally accomplished Data's dream. Like, that would have put this episode from like I'm a little disappointed where the show's going right now, to like, wow, you really did it. You really did well by Data.
What was the picture that he sent out? Was it a screenshot from the show, or was it just a picture of him?
Well, it's a. I mean, I know it's a screenshot now, but it looked like just a picture of him in the white outfit, and he's got the white hair, and he's sitting down. Why was Picard? Sorry, real quickly. Picard's not at that meeting where Jurati's saying what she saw. Picard's not at that meeting. He's just having a drink in this weird table. At this weird table alone, just staring at nothing. Why?
Wait. Are you talking about during the mind meld?
So just before the mind meld, when evil Soji appears, Picard is just sitting down at this table, just drinking some water, and everyone's over here doing their thing at their amphitheater, and then evil Soji walks up behind Picard and he goes, "Of course," and then he joins the others. Why wasn't he always just with the others?
I must have missed that. I'm not sure.
It always kind of weird to me, because we talked about how some of these episodes are really well directed, and I do think on the whole, a lot of them are. Jonathan Frakes' episodes are the standouts, I think.
Yeah.
Akiva Goldsman's directed this episode.
Yep.
It's awful. The directing in this episode is so choppy. The editing is horrible. This episode is written well, for the most part. They do the best they can. The directing fails this episode immensely.
Yeah,
I think this episode is one of the most poorly directed episodes of television I've ever seen.
Wow, that's a statement. Yeah, I may not go that far, but yeah, it was definitely I definitely see it now that you kind of mention it. I'm like, yeah, maybe that's probably why I missed that whole Picard scene. That's probably why. I'm over exaggerating. I over exaggerate a lot, so I'll walk it back a bit. But like, certainly the poorest episode of Picard I've seen directed. Yeah. I felt that Akiva Goldsman should not be behind the camera. Who directs the part 2?
It's Akiva Goldsman.
Yep.
Yeah, he's the two-parter director. So looking forward to that.
What
And like
else?
that explains like so many things about how the cube just it doesn't make any sense why the cube is there. Though I like Picard in the cube. Like there's someone who's just like Locutus. And then Elnor gives him a hug. I thought that was cool. I like the idea that Seven and Picard knew Hugh and they talk about that for a bit. I like that sort of thing.
Okay, yeah, he hasn't done too much.
Look at his writing credits, and you'll see why I don't like him.
Discovery 3, Picard 3. That's it.
Oh, his writing credits on just generally. He wrote some of the Transformers films.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, shocking.
Right? Yeah, I'm not a fan of Akiva Goldsman personally.
I'm not a fan of the Transformer films.
I like 1 and 3.
No, they're terrible.
And Bumblebee is great.
I haven't seen that yet. I refuse to give money to that. Maybe when it comes free on Netflix, I'll watch it.
You should watch Bumblebee. It might be on Netflix already. It's good. It's really good. It's the only one not directed by Michael Bay, and that means it's excellent.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. So I like the moments in the cube, like the Locutus moment, seven hugging.
We saw that already. In this season, we've seen that.
Yeah. I mean, Elnor hugging Picard. Yeah. I just don't get why that cube is there. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit within the narrative.
Which is why I think we're going to get that Millennium Falcon moment at the end of A New Hope, where it's probably going to save the day. They're going to figure out how to get it up and running.
We better do something with it.
Yeah, they better figure out a way to jumpstart that cube.
Yeah.
So
that's all I got. You got any more?
Do you have any more theories on next episode, the finale, that we haven't touched yet? No.
No more theories. I don't think.
You want to go through do you feel like we might see a crew death, like a major cast member death?
Oh, well,
something that we know. I mean, when you think about it, like we don't really see that too often, especially in Star Trek or anything. Unless you're a red shirt, you're not gonna die. Do you feel like
no red shirts on this show?
But you don't understand though. If you're not like a main character, a recurring character, you're not gonna die.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this? Do you think Star Trek would be so bold as to do that?
Well, they did in Discovery. They killed Hugh in Discovery. I could see them killing probably Girardi or even Rafi.
I see Girardi. I don't feel like they would do Rafi, just because it almost seems like she wants to prove to her son that she was right. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be surprised if they'll give her that moment maybe in season 2 where they find out it really was the Romulans, and then the son comes back and says, I'm sorry, whatever, and she gets that moment with her son. I still think that was a setup for that.
Yeah.
Girardi, I feel like her entire arc is done.
Yeah.
I see her dying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Elnor, I wouldn't be surprised if he died.
I don't think Elnor's going to die.
I don't think so too, because he's too badass of a character. You know what I mean?
I think that I think they want to do a 7 and 9 Elnor spinoff.
What? Spinoff? It's only been one season. How is there going to be a spinoff?
That's Alex Kurtzman's whole thing.
Yeah,
think about how many Star Trek shows are in development right now. There's a Section 31 show. There's 3 animated shows, and there's many rumors about a Christopher Pike show.
Yeah.
Alex Kurtzman wants to franchise. Alex Kurtzman wants Star Trek to be the MCU.
Let me ask you. Speaking of that, let me ask you this. So I have not caught up with Discovery, but from what I understand is that they got shot off somewhere to a distant future. Do you think it's going to pop up at the end of Picard?
No, it's way too far.
Way too far? Okay.
The end of Star Trek Discovery Season 2, they shoot 925 years into the future.
Which would land it where?
The year 3200.
Is that before or after Picard?
Way after.
Okay, I don't know. I can't.
Picard is 2399.
Oh shoot. Okay.
So next year would be 2400. So it would be the 25th century. So 900 would be 30. Let's see, Discovery is 3226. So it'd be like 3200 would be roughly where Discovery season 3 is going to be set.
Oh, okay, got it.
So we're like way. Discovery will never touch another Star Trek show because of how far into the future it's shot.
Got it. All right.
Yeah, I got nothing else. See,
got nothing else. I think we're good.
Okay, so that'll do it until next time. Then, all of our episodes are all caught up now on Star Trek.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I saw that.
Now. Yeah. So I'm gonna try and get Sparks to get this one up before the final episode.
Heck yeah.
So stay tuned for that. As far as us is concerned, we got one more of these, Michael. One more to go.
Just one more. What are we gonna do afterwards? Are we gonna do Discovery season 3? I'll get caught up by then. Yeah, no.
Maybe. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
After this, we have no Fake Nerds Watch planned, but I do think the guys are going to try and get Dark Crystal out there. We have Basement Arcade. Because of our quarantine, we have run out of Sonic Mania Basement Arcades. But have no fear, Basement Arcade will continue in another format. So stay tuned for that. Cool. Very excited for that one to drop.
Nice. Have you guys been recording just like at home somehow, doing like a remote recording?
Yeah, we did a remote recording of our 184th episode, where we definitely 100% reviewed A Quiet Place Part 2. It came out for us and us alone. So listen to our review of that movie. I'll tell you off air.
Okay. Cool, man.
So that episode is up now. It's actually, we live streamed it. You can check it out. It's up on there. It's up on the feed. It's up everywhere. This week we are definitely 100%. We're the only ones in the whole world who got to see Mulan, guys. So we're going to review that for you next week. You starting to understand what I'm doing.
I get it. Okay. All right.
So definitely check those episodes out. This next week episode, again, we're quarantined. California is quarantined. So we are remote recording, and it's a pain in the ass for me because I don't like remote recording. But, check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all at Fake Nerd Podcast, FakeNerdGuys@gmail.com. I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. All that information will be linked below. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon. Get notified when the next episode drops. Michael, where can I find you?
You find me at anywhere, just Downright Nerdy Podcast here on YouTube, over on the Instagrams, over at downrightnerdy.com. You can see all our links and all our fun stuff out there. We got iTunes, Spotify, Castbox, Google Play, on your Alexa via your AnyPod skill. That's kind of neat. But yeah, other than that,
we're back.
There you are. We're back. All right. We got to redo the entire show.
Where can they find you?
Anywhere and everywhere, like any platform, Instagram, Twitter, but Twitter's nerdy downright because I didn't do it right the first time and I can't change it anymore. But yeah, just find us anywhere. Really easy to get a hold of.
We'll link all of that information below. Definitely like and subscribe his YouTube channel. It's got a lot more followers than us. So
we talk about everything under the sun. We're a very general type of podcast, so we do get a lot of traffic. So, but either or, make sure you guys hit that notification bell here because I do like to make cameo appearances on my boys, Fake Nerds.
Yeah, and you got the Downright Annoyed group going.
That's right. Yeah, me and another podcaster, Jackson from Bored and Annoyed podcast. We started a movie review and a comic reading weekly. Well, the comic thing is bi-weekly, I think, at this point. But the movie show is a weekly thing. It's Downright Annoyed with Movies, where every week we choose a different movie to watch, review. Everybody has to watch it. What's really fun is that we get the audience all into it as well, because we give you a spot on our essential wheel of fortune, where if it lands on you, the first person to throw a movie suggestion out there, we gotta watch it. So it's kind of neat.
Cool. Yeah. All right, that'll do it for us this week. Until next time, guys. Live long and prosper.
Brandon, thanks you again. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.